Hey everybody, how you doing? So I wanted to show you that I have access to Vidyuu's Essentials bundles 1, 2, and 3. And I guess the plan here is that he's going to be building a whole bunch of stuff in this world that you can get access to. And if you want to see the world details, I'm just going to show that right here. Oh, this is the blank world that I created. It's a copy. Okay. So basically what you want to do if you want to go to his world is you search up Vidyuu Essential Bundles. You can go to the world and just take a picture while you're in that world. So you just go like this, click, you take a picture. He's going to be able to see your name, and then he'll add you so that you can become an editor of that world. Now I created a blank world and I imported his world. And these are instructions that he has on his YouTube at Vidyuu on YouTube, so that you can be able to have access to this stuff as well. Anyways, long story short, I just wanted to show you some script stuff because I've been messing around with some of these and I've been having a hard time understanding it for my own world, and I know a lot of other people have. And so I just wanted to show you the doors and explain it in a way that it made sense to me that I had to figure out by looking at this. I did not watch this video on the doors. So going into the editor mode, what we're going to notice is that there's this column right here, okay? And this column, all of these things that are here all belong to the door script. So I'm just going to grab all of those. I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to bring it over here because I don't want to duplicate it more than once. I'm going to undo that. Sorry. Anyways, so this is the door script, okay? So there is, in this instance, this is what I've noticed about the rest of all of these pieces. There is only one script here. And this script is going to end up controlling everything that is on top of this display block. And the text and the display block are kind of irrelevant. The two of these pieces don't have any code or anything like that on them. So I'm going to get rid of that. So this script is affecting only these two doors. Now, there are two doors. There's two sets here, okay? You've got this one, which is a slidey door, and then you've got which is a rotating door, and then this one is a slidey door, okay? So let's just go back in here for a second. If I touch this one, it rotates, okay? And if I touch this one, it slides open, okay? Now, the idea here, I messed this up, I guess, by touching it there, but anyways, nonetheless. The idea here is that the script, if we open it up, I was having a hard time understanding where some of this information was coming from because, and this is not anything bad, it's just his videos are fast. He knows what he's doing, and I was having a hard time understanding. So if we take a look at this, what I didn't understand here, for example, just a one quick one, where do you get player ID, PLID, player ID? And so I went to variables and I was looking for player ID, and he doesn't have a player ID for this script. And then I went through all of the values and I was looking for player ID, and there's no player ID in any of this. And what I ended up realizing was that if you click new parameter, you can choose something in here, okay? And you can choose player, for example, and you can call it player ID. And then when you confirm that, there's that player ID. So he got it by adding a parameter. These are one of the parameters that he had to add. So this whole block, I had to basically understand how to use it, which I hadn't, and that was my fault. Then the other one was when occupied. And I was like, what is occupied? What are all these things? So these are all the events that he has created, okay? And an event is a little bit different than, parameter, value, et cetera, et cetera. And there was one either in here that he called occupied. It was already called occupied, or he created it. I think it was already there. The event is the occupied event. So let's just go and go down to occupied. Okay, occupied is with a capital O. I think that was one that was already existing. I'm not entirely sure about that. And I think the ones that he created were like leave, lock door, and loop because they're lowercase. I think that's what's happening here, but I could be wrong. So if you go to create a new event and then he went to go put the event name, he would have just typed, he probably wouldn't have made it a capital, he would have confirmed, and now the event is called D, right? Anyways, so none the case. So to read this block, it started making a lot more sense. Okay, so when the event occupied is received with the player ID, meaning the player, which was a parameter automatically set up by Oculus, by Horizon, the player was already a thing. And so I am the player. So when the player has an identification and the event occupied gets triggered, okay, the rest of this runs. Now, if it's the slidey door, do this. Otherwise, do this. So the slidey door is this one, and the else in this case is this one, right? And I notice that because this is the rotation that this door is doing, and this position and the slide by amounts are for this door. And what he's saying here is when occupied, do all these movements for either one of the two doors. But when empty is received with the player ID, meaning the player ID is not in that thing, is not in the script, then do one of these two door actions depending on which one's receiving. Now, the script is put onto the trigger. And so if we open up the trigger, we're going to see that on here. We're going to see it's got the open door script, which I had copied it, but this is the open door script. It's because I had copied this whole thing, so just don't worry about that. But it's the open door script that I had copied that's now currently called script 1, but nonetheless, anyways. So the attached script is the open door script. And on here, what was I gonna say? Yeah, see, there's nothing for occupy or not occupy on this. It's effectively, it's Horizon that has had this event already created, occupied or not occupied. And being that it happens in this case, I'm gonna close this, being that it happens to be on a trigger, the trigger knows whether it's occupied or empty. And so if it's empty, it's going to do something. But if it's occupied, then it's going to do something else in this case. So some of what I'm realizing with this is that, you know, these guys that are building all these objects and building other things, it's the experimentation, because there's not a lot of documentation that I'm seeing. There's more tutorials a little bit, but there's not a lot of documentation that explains exactly how the triggers are functioning and how they function with all these, you know, different variables and things that we can add to it and ways that you can manipulate, or what assumptions can already be made about this. You know, no one ever told me that I had a player ID, so I wouldn't have known that you know, by adding a parameter of a player or whatever, that there would have been an identification that comes with it that I can, in this case, call PLID, player ID. Or that triggers automatically can be occupied or otherwise in this instance, because I'm pretty sure that a trigger cannot be backward or add floor. You know what I mean? So, anyways, I hope that makes sense a little bit. Basically, what I'm saying is that you have to play with these things a little bit if you're going to understand them, and as you're making a little bit of progress, you're going to understand what assumptions can be made about triggers, what assumptions can be made about different things that we're going to end up seeing, like different gizmos and whatnot. So I had played around with some of these, and I got some of them working, and it was kind of cool, and so on and so forth. Anyways, so yeah, so now I'm understanding how these doors function a little bit. And if I take a look at the okay, let's say the door, because the door should not have anything on it. There's no scripts. There's nothing about this door, right? The door is just simply called door. In this case, it's called group, again, because I copied it there earlier. But anyways, it would be called door. And this trigger, which has the script open door on it, probably references the door somewhere. So if I go to the variables, see, there's the door. And so it's just referencing this brown piece and then saying, move this variable that I've created, which happens to be called door, and it represents this door that's here. Why can I not grab this? It's annoying me. It's so thin. Anyways, let's make it bigger. It doesn't want to get bigger. I can't grab it. It's too thin to grab. There we go. That doesn't really help it anyways. I want to make it a fat door. There we go. Now it's a fat door. Okay. Yeah, so I created he created a variable. The variable was called door. He plugged door into there. This script is on the trigger, and the door, the way that you get it on there is that you take its little pin. I don't know what this is called. In this case, it's, I don't know, it's, whatever. It's its name, I guess. You take its name and you drop it into the thing. In this case, it's door. Like, well, can we do this? Is this how this works? We take group. No, we'd have to create a variable. So we're going to create a variable with an object, and we're going to name it blah, 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 blah. We're going to hit return. We're going to go confirm. Okay, so now blah, 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 blah is there, right? And so group. No, how do we do this? How do we do this? Oh no, this is the trigger, not the door. Oh. Wait, hold on a second. This door is called a group. Now I've lost myself. How do you get... This is the script. And the script has the object. Yesig. Oh, that's right. Gotta open this damn thing. There we go. So, where's my yesig that's in here? Why is it not there? Oh, it's because it doesn't have that script. It's got the other script. Oh my god, that's so annoying. Script 1. So all the way down the bottom. Script 1. Where's yesig? Yesig's right there. Okay. Now I take yesig, which is door, which is actually called a group, and I plug that in there. Boom. Okay. Now it'll move yesig by these positions, and the yesig thing, which I should have named door, is actually the door, which happens to be named group. Boom. Get it? All right. That makes sense. Okay.